Ready to start?
All right. You know, it's getting harder and harder to find somebody that can whistle like that to get everybody quiet. So thank goodness Jasper's here. Good morning, everyone. It's been 14 months, I think, since we've had an in-person. So my name's Jameson Bob, and I'm the board chair of the Economic Alliance. It is so good to see all these smiling faces. We were talking about it at our board meeting last week, how everybody kind of walking in. It was our first in-person board meeting, and as everybody walked in, it was kind of surprising to see all the smiling faces. Everybody came in with a smile. It wasn't like, oh, we got another board meeting. Everybody was kind of just jazzed to have that interaction, shake hands, be in person. So great to see all of you. Some of you look better than Zoom. Some of you look better than It's okay. The camera adds 10 pounds. There is a camera on me, so don't judge. Again, really appreciate everybody being here. Now we're being recorded. I'll turn it over to Steve Elias. So this is his glorious building that he'll kind of hand off to us for the morning, Steve.
Thanks, James. Appreciate it. This is the first Alliance meeting I've attended in a year wearing pants. And we appreciate that. I just want to say thanks for being here and welcome. I was giving all the Alliance folks a hard time because our new furniture delivery is in less than a month. So this room actually holds 72 people with our new furniture comfortably. So we'll have to have everybody back and do this again. But I wanted to say good morning. Thanks for being here. This is the Center for Innovation. We've got a co-working space over there, our event space here, private offices. We have the space next door as well with the kitchen. If you ever wanted to come and hang out down here and work, just let us know. Where's Kiki? There's Kiki. You could find Kiki easily on our website to set up a tour. She'd be happy to do it. We'd love to have you down here. Jasper's here. Jasper from Durango Space. I think Durango is turning into a phenomenal place for co-working and people getting out and working with other people to create the ecosphere we all want this community to have. So thank you for being here. Tom is unable to be here. He's in Denver. He says good morning, sends his regards, and thank you. What did I forget, Kiki? Awesome. Great.
Perfect. We'll move into our coffee sponsor. Really appreciate Desert Sun Coffee Roasters here. Glenn, anything you'd like to say?
2 F's in coffee.
2 F's in coffee.
Some coffee. The coffee is what we sell. So I won't give a sales pitch, but we've been at it for 17 years, and I know some of you support our coffee, and thank you. And it's great to be here, and it's fun to be able to participate and contribute. So thanks for having us.
Awesome. We wrote the agenda with a little less coffee. Thank you again. I'd like to introduce Jessica, our new Durango City Council. Can we go, RJ first?
Jessica, if you want to say anything, if you could come up, because for anybody that wants to speak, if you could come up to the podium so the mic can get picked up, it's really hard to back.
I feel like everyone has heard me talk lots on Zoom over the last few months, so I'm done.
Super. Welcome, Jessica. We'll turn it over to RJ. So he is the new regional market president for Make San Juan. He's with us virtually. RJ, can you hear us?
Good morning, everyone. I'm jealous of those of you that are able to be there in person. I'm excited to be back in the more of a normal meeting setting coming up here soon, and look forward to attending in person next month. But yeah, I believe if I understood right, Emily, just give a brief introduction of myself and.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
All right, sounds good. Well, my name is RJ Rieger. I am our new Southwest Market Regional President for Banks of the San Juans. I started my new position on end of April officially. And I've been in Durango here officially for 4 years. I moved here. I'm a South Dakota born and raised native. Been in banking for just about 15 years now. Been doing commercial and agricultural lending my entire banking career. A little bit of operational work in between there as well. But I guess I just love the Durango community, love what the community has going on right now. Just a lot of fun things coming up. Really appreciate everything the Economic Development Alliance and their team does. Just some great opportunities, I think, coming up here in the markets in the near future. So.
Super. Thanks so much, RJ. Good to have you. Any guests? So historically, when we've done these in-person meetings, we kind of open it up to first-time guests. This time, I'd say it's a little bit different. Any first-time in-person guests? Got some in the back. Let's
I
go to
have
the second.
two visitors here from Coldwell Banker Distinctive Properties, Todd Conklin, owner of Coldwell Banker Distinctive, and Suzanne Wood, Vice President of Professional Development. I've said it too many times tonight.
Awesome. Good morning. Great to have you. Just migrate this way. Dan, go.
I want to put Michael on the spot. We have the incoming CEO payroll department, Michael Hennig. Everybody.
Awesome.
My name is Weir Johnson, first timer, recently moved to Durango. My wife and I have been here since September, so really enjoyed meeting not only the people, but definitely the friendliness, welcoming kind of vibe. I noticed there's a little bit of that. It's one of my first meetings of this kind, so I'm very excited to kind of see what this community does and is all about. And I will be here actually in the center as one of the tenants. I have started a new company called Anthus, Anthus.co. It's essentially marketing, it's small business development, primarily with service businesses. So pleasure to be here.
Fantastic. Thank you.
My name is Chris Stubbs. I'm the new Director of Accounting and Administration for ASAP Payroll. Just moved to Durango in the middle of March from the Chicago area. I'm super happy to be here for the second wonderful time. Thanks.
Awesome. Welcome. Payroll companies were busy with PPP loans. Yes.
Hey, I'm Elizabeth Howe. I worked with Mount Capital Partners for Return Resort for about 4 years, here in 2017. And that business is kind of undergoing some changes, decentralized, and so I like the company, and now I've got my own company and doing talent sourcing and recruiting. So I would love to bring top talent to my area. Your name again? Elizabeth Howe. Elizabeth Howe, H-O-W-E. Howe. Good to see you guys.
Awesome. Welcome. Yes, ma'am.
And I'm Becky Adden. I work for Pueblo Community College. I'm the new assistant to the dean, and we're excited to be part of this group and hopefully learn a little bit more of the communities and figure out.
Super. Anybody else? Good morning.
Good morning, I'm Cass Morgan, I'm Executive Director of the Southwest Community Fund, with a nonprofit partner of the Southwest Bank. I've been living outside of Pagosa for the last couple of years, working in my role, but we just relocated back to Durango this morning. So yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Super. Welcome. I recognize that Pagosa accent. Okay. Any other first timers? Great turnout. We are going to send around a sign up sheet. Essentially, if we can get name, company, email address, that'll help us kind of keep everybody in the know on what's going on with the Alliance. So thank you so much. I'll turn it over to Michael French, our Executive Director for this.
I've been to Pagosa, but I've never heard that accent. At the risk of sounding repetitive, it is so wonderful to see everybody out here and for us to be back in person. I thought about this last night and I thought, man, maybe we rushed it. Maybe we did it like a month too early because we're still working out the kinks, and you'll see that, we're not spelling coffee correctly, and but no, the time's right, and you can tell just by everybody walking in, the faces, and people just excited to see each other. So we also have a fairly decent contingency on Zoom. So we have like between 20 and 30 people 23 people on Zoom. Fantastic. So for all the folks dialing in, thank you for participating. Really appreciate it. And our membership has been fantastic. In the last, I would say 4 or 5, maybe 6 months, we've had close to 80 people participate virtually in our meetings, which, you know, when we went from in-person to virtual, we were really concerned because we thought that it would be a ghost town, and it was almost the opposite. And so we're coming into this with a lot of momentum. So thank you very much. I would say that today is somewhat symbolic of the next chapter. I don't know whether to call it the early post-pandemic or the virus economy, or I'm sorry, the vaccination economy. But regardless of, it's definitely a new chapter. And I think today's meeting is a demarcation for us, for sure. I don't know how many other people have been in a room with, 50 plus people in the last year or so, but if you have, don't tell us about it. With the new chapter comes some opportunities, but it also comes with challenges. And these are maybe some existing challenges that have been accelerated, and maybe some new challenges. And of those, without a doubt, something that we're hearing from everybody is workforce. And you can't talk about workforce without talking about workforce housing. And those things are very intertwined. We're very, very aware of that. As a matter of fact, it's probably the Alliance's #1 strategic objective right now. We have 3 for the next 3 years: workforce housing. Are you getting a theme here? And then last but not least is capacity for the businesses that are here. And so we're really working on it. We're spending a lot of time and energy on this. The unemployment rate is dropping in La Plata County, but I can tell you this, there's lots of jobs to be had. So I expect that unemployment to continue to erode over the next few months. The federal subsidies do sunset in September. I don't expect Governor Polis to accelerate that, but and we may see an uptick in some of the employment, especially in the lower wages. But I have to tell you this, that the workforce issue is not just lower wages. It's not just restaurants and hospitality. It's every single sector. We've talked to manufacturing, we've talked to construction, we've talked to retail, healthcare, finance, you name it. Everybody is having a hard time bringing in employees, much less recruiting employees that are not already here and getting to full capacity. So we definitely understand what's going on. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce just last week published a very interesting survey. We'll send it out to all of our members here today. Jack did a great job of distributing that last week, but it lists many factors. This is a complex issue. This is not just people sitting on the couch, and especially in this community, when you add the cost of living and workforce housing, housing in general, it becomes very complex. So speaking of housing, this is an eye chart, and I promise that we'll send everybody a specific housing update with some stats, because these were just released. But in year-to-date 2021, so we've got, I think, 5 months under our belt. If we compare activity to 2019 and 2020, sales rates are still setting records. Prices for a single-family home in La Plata County has risen $50,000 in the first 5 months of 2021 compared to 2020. Sales might start to soften, but we won't know that until the next few months, according to Dan Corman, who gives me some housing advice on a monthly basis. I think the next couple of months will determine what sales are looking like longer term, whether or not it's still going to be a bull market, or whether inventory is actually going to catch up to sales. It's hard to say. Here's some quick highlights on May. The average price for a single family home in La Plata rose to $661K for the month of May. That's a 43% increase year over year, same month last year. And inventory is down over 70%, again, year over year. Listings are a little bit better. The gap in Durango is actually none or nil, whereas in La Plata, it's down 17+% of new listings. Again, it'll be interesting to see what happens and how that holds over the next couple of months. So on a more happy note, we have secured a couple of different speakers for the summit. We'll send out a save the date here this week. The summit will be Tuesday, September 21st. That's and that will be at the Sky Casino and Conference Center. We're really excited about the theme, the topic. We've been talking about workforce and the transition of workforce and housing and all the variables involved. We're going to carry that theme into the conference. I don't think there's any subject matter that's more important right now than the changing workforce and how to lead through this transition and what does that look like. We have 2 speakers committed to the event, and I'm just briefly going to highlight these as we get closer to the summit. We'll actually maybe show a couple of videos and get you familiar with these speakers. The first is Steve Cadigan. Steve is a talent strategist and company culture expert. He's responsible for building world-class teams and company cultures with some of the world's most respected organizations. He's an author of a book. That book is actually to be published in August, so timing's phenomenal. It's called Workquake, and the mission is to build a better, more honest employer-to-employee relationship. According to Steve, what employers need and what employees want has evolved. However, many have yet to build a model and a contract that feels safe and inspirational to both parties. So I think his subject matter will really resonate, extremely timely to our community. The second is a little more fun, not as heavy of an issue, but he will talk about leadership nonetheless. His name is Corey Richards. We're really excited to have him come. He's an explorer and a visual storyteller. He is a National Geographic photographer who has climbed Everest. So he's taken his camera to the peaks of Antarctica and the Himalayas, as well as the war zones of Angola, Uganda, and Pakistan. And he will do some storytelling of his personal realization and mindset of leadership through some visuals. So I'm really excited to see his work on the big screen. Go to CoreyRichards.com. You get an idea. He's very colorful and very brash. You know, he's a young, unapologetic guy who's been through it. So, lastly, I want to call out our renewals for the month of May. And Vectra Bank, Jameson, thank you, appreciate it. Pueblo Community College, thank you very much. Terrell Peterson, is Terrell in the room? Terrell, excellent, thank you so much. The Durango Network, anybody? Okay, Web Service Management, and the Plata County Energy Council. All right, sir, that's my report.
Thank you, Mike. Feels weird to be back in person. It feels like we need to recap more of what's happened, but I forget we've had these Zoom meetings on a monthly basis, so we have been doing that. We'll turn it over to Laura Lewis, Executive Director of Region 9.
Well, I was living the dream last night and camping. So, but I'm wearing my dress hat. And of course you have your first in-person meeting.
Nicely.
Thank you. But I did want to, it's just great to be back with all of you in person. And I wanted to give you an update kind of since the last time we've been together. So this is where I was. I just have to share. My husband's a secondary principal in Mancos, and the Pay It Forward committee in Mancos gave us a free night. Of course, it was last night, but this is where we were. And this was so awesome. And I highly recommend any of you who want a camping experience, 55 feet up, long stairs. Notice the porta potties down at the bottom. not conducive to any kind of alcoholic beverage. So really good to be here. So I wanted to give you an overview of some numbers that we've seen in 2021. It's been a really busy year. These are some of our program areas, and anytime someone calls our organization, we sort of make note of that. So from January through May, these are what these numbers reflect. We had 47 inquiries for our loan program from just La Plata County. We serve all 5 counties, so we calculate all of that information. Also 47 data inquiries. We do a lot of data reports for folks. So, if someone is looking for tourism numbers or what have you. The Enterprise Zone Program 95, which is really high for La Plata because we don't have a lot of enterprise zone areas in the county. 15 grand, and I'm sorry, I'm reading this to you, you can all read. The inquiries are primarily referrals to either resources or other organizations, so kind of technical assistance related calls. And then I just put a few numbers from 2020 for comparison. For the whole year in 2020, we only got 83 loan inquiries, which for COVID was still higher than we were expecting. And then we have I didn't have enough time to pull out all of La Plata, but we had 460 kind of in those 3 categories that you see there. And we're really busy. We are seeing that outside of accommodation, retail, and restaurants, businesses really made it through COVID with no issues. There's a lot of fear kind of around the April-May timeframe, but the reality really did not impact any except those 3 that I mentioned. Mike mentioned workforce. Yes, we are seeing that anyone that's really offering under the $20 an hour, and I've talked with Deborah with the Workforce Center, that's where we're seeing kind of that gap and unable to fill jobs. And we're seeing that region-wide. Silverton, for example, they don't have enough staff, so restaurants are picking what days they want to be open. And there's certain days of the week they're not doing dinner or they're not doing lunch. So that's pretty indicative of really what we're seeing. Also, what we kind of have started looking into that workforce issue a little more, just because that is something that the Alliance is working on pretty closely. And we are seeing that there is a decline of youth in the workforce. This is sort of anecdotal to me. I don't have any data on it, but we are seeing that there's less high school students that are actually working. It's kind of a transition of a lot of our high school youth are in sports. And as you know, we're in the center of the universe. And so they don't have to travel at all on weekends to play any sport. So they're making those choices. They're trying to keep their grades up and then they're gone on the weekends. So it's really impacting them being in the workforce. And then also we're really seeing, obviously we're all getting older. And so we just have a smaller workforce and more retirees. In our area, for some reason, people who retire here do not want to work. So we are seeing a little bit of that as well. And then the other piece is really related to kind of the underemployed issues around substance abuse, things like that, that are also impacting rural areas in particular. So on that good news, just kidding. Let me talk a little bit about some of our activities that we've been working on. And these are more regional and statewide, but I'm lucky enough to be the chair of the Economic Development Council Colorado this year. And I do dress up a little more for those meetings. But basically it's economic development professionals from across the state. The Alliance is actually a member. And we did we talked to legislators and got a $1.5 million footnote that is getting given to the Office of Economic Development for economic development capacity grants. And those are going to be for economic development organizations. It's either $25,000 or $50,000. That's going to be released at the end of the summer. And we've been working on those applications. And really, the reason for this is that the business support organizations are economic development organizations, and they also struggled during COVID, especially membership-based organizations. And this is a way to give them a little bit of capacity building so that we can continue to help our communities and our businesses. And so that is underway. And then you've probably heard about our comprehensive economic development strategy. Anyone know what that is yet? Just kidding. So that's our SEDS, and Heather in our office works with that, and we are doing our 5-year update. So several of you have been involved with La Plata County's prioritization of kind of our economic development weaknesses and strengths, and we're setting goals and priorities around that. The drafts will be on the southwestcoda.org website. You see kind of a clip of that. Southwestcoda.org was started by the Community Foundation after the Gold King mine spill, and then it was reactivated for the 416 fire. And it was a place where businesses and individuals could get resources, find out about, where they can get funding, help, assistance, and it's very broad-based. Region 9, with some CARES money, took over helping to facilitate this website to also be about resilience and recovery. Brittany Cup with SCAPE is one of our web designers on that, and we now have it covering all 5 counties. So each county has a page for their specific resources around recovery resiliency. The SEDS will be there, but you can also, as we learn more about the American Rescue Funds and the different programs that are coming down from the state, they will all be on this site. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. And then congressionally directed funding, or earmarks, bad word. Our region has put together an application for Senator Bennett and Hickenlooper that Region 9 is leading only because we don't have skin in the game. And that is to try to figure out how we are going to get some sort of inpatient substance or mental health resource in our region. For those of you who may or may not know, anytime we have a suicidal youth in our community, they have to go to Grand Junction. So that's for our whole region. We have no inpatient for youth. We have no treatment for adults. We have no transitional sober living when folks come back into our community. And I would say that could reflect some of our workforce numbers. I've got some data on this, but we are working with all 5 counties and our health providers such as Centura and Access, San Juan Basin Health, et cetera. And we put together this application to do a study on what would be financially feasible in our region. We don't know yet what that would look like, but we are going to have a convening because our governments are already looking at very likely to receive opioid settlement dollars and putting that together around this kind of resource and what would be the most feasible. Montezuma already has an MOU that went to all their communities about consolidating their opioid settlement dollars if they receive it. So I just wanted to let you know this is going to be a huge regional effort, but it will benefit all of us in La Plata. Data dashboard, I'm going to show you this. This is where instead of calling us and asking for data, you can find your own on our website. So we updated our website with a lot of data dashboard materials that we think will be really helpful for you. And then I have a couple slides to show you what we know about America Rescue Funds that are not coming to our governments. They're actually coming directly from the state for some other purposes. So real quickly, these are a couple screenshots of what you can find on our dashboard. Our website is scan.org. We also updated our domain to be region9edd.org, so you can find us anyway. But what you'll see, we're doing a little bit more on kind of the business attraction efforts on logistics. As you know, our rail and intermodal network is huge, but there is a link where you can see, what our gaps are. Broadband network, airport, our growing industries where we have clusters, and you can do it by community, by Durango, by region. And then also some demographics from each of our communities. You can click on maps and get information on that. And then some other total workforce, our workforce numbers by industry. So you can see over time how that's growing or declining. We've got, levels of education, the occupation of our residents. There is not a retired in there, just kidding. We also have total business establishments, total workforce, and you'll see there's some different links where we can find household numbers, things like that. But that is something that we're updating and really welcome your feedback if there's something else we can do with that. So I was on a call last week, sorry for the screenshot, with the new director of the Office of Economic Development up in Denver. His name's Pat Myers, and he used to be head of staff for Governor Hickenlooper. And so he was talking about where the money is coming down from the state into our communities through a variety of business support organizations. And what you can see is we're going to see up to $50 million in sales tax relief for small restaurants and bars. We're going to see $10 million to retain and incentivize events in Colorado. There's some relief for arts and culture organizations. Some of this is coming from OEDIT directly. Some will go down to like the small business development centers and other organizations. And that's where right now they all are figuring out how they're going to collaborate and partner with each other. And then there's going to be grant money for businesses with rural, women, minority, veteran-owned, as well as lending institutions to continue to help small businesses. I don't know how this is going to break down, just like the government's just got their allocation and they're trying to figure out how that's going to break down. So we're still in kind of that gray area. This is what's coming to rural Colorado. Huge amount of money right now for agriculture. I know you probably saw the article in the Herald about the like Bayfield and the drought, and it's impacting our whole region. One example, I was in Dove Creek. Anyone know where? Just kidding. On Wednesday, and they get water from McPhee, and the Dove Creek Canal is getting shut down due to low water the end of June, and that supplies their town's water. So we were trying to figure out some solutions because they do have a reservoir, but they won't be able to refill it. And that also obviously impacts farmers. So really huge issues. We've been pretty isolated and insulated in our region in terms of some of the drought impacts. They're putting money in for a lot of trying to assist businesses. There's also the Rural Economic Development Incentive Ready program, which is going to provide technical assistance to communities to identify some projects that they want to move forward on. And then there's supposed to be some implementation money coming in. And as you can see, a lot of money around forest health, forest fires. By the way, when I was in the tower, it says call if you see smoke. You guys know there's fires in Utah, New Mexico, or Utah and Arizona. And you're like, huh, we hope they know about those. But joking aside, the timber industry really is growing in this area, a lot of contractors, a lot of efforts. And so that's where we're going to be seeing some money. And then 50 million to transition some of our rural communities from coal. We're not really seeing that in our region, but just to the north of us, around the Delta area, they lost 800 jobs for closing a coal mine. And I mean, you guys have been to Delta. There's not a lot else around there. And we also are seeing the impacts of the Navajo tribe closing some of their mines. Actually, that's helping our workforce. We're seeing a lot of cross-county travel. And so just a big overview. If any of you have any questions, please ask me, email me afterwards. And here's my contact information. Thank you.
Super. Thank you so much, Laura. We'll move to Rachel Brown with Visit Durango. Morning, Rachel.
Hello, everyone. I am Rachel Brown, Executive Director with Visit Durango. It's nice to see all your maskless faces today. And I have quite a bit I want to cover with you. I'm going to try and fit it into 10 minutes, but I could talk your ear off about this. So if you want to reach out and discuss more about sustainable tourism, I'm rachel@durango.org. And thank you to Mike for inviting me to be here today. I'm going to go through some 2020 highlights, projections for this year, and some new direction for Visit Durango. And
I'd like to start off by doing a little bit of myth busting with you all. I have heard some things said in the community that come from a smart place, but don't always take all the facts into account. And this is one example. This is something people have said about 2020. We didn't advertise and they came anyways. So to break this down, the first part of that, we didn't advertise. Well, if you're talking about Visit Durango, that is not true. We did advertise last year. We did not stop our marketing efforts by any means. In fact, we did run 4 different campaigns: Durango Dreaming, Extended Stay, Find Your Escape, and Care for Durango. Care for Durango was very important. That was mostly in market and focused on responsible tourism messaging. Yes, we did spend less money. Yes, we were not inviting people here, opening the floodgates when we had high case counts. But we were advertising. We actually had great performance on our marketing, over a 13,000% increase in impressions year over year. Yes, that is a real number, and over 2,000% increase in engagements. Care for Durango, as I mentioned, was especially important. We were spreading the word on how to visit Durango responsibly with online marketing collateral. And we even hired some Old West actors to walk around downtown and ask people to wear their masks. The second part of the statement, they came anyways. This is partially true. We did still have visitors, obviously, but what people don't realize is we had significantly less visitors last year. This is a chart that shows hotel and vacation rental occupancy by month. The red lines show the months we lagged behind 2019, so it was the majority of the year, just to set the record straight. And hotel occupancy for the year as a whole was 48%. That was a 23% drop year over year. And for vacation rentals, we had a 16% drop in occupancy. So could have been much worse. But there was a downturn. It was very impactful to our tourism businesses in town. It could have been a lot worse, and thankfully it wasn't. We fared a lot better than many other destinations in the region and around the globe. And I like to think it's because of what I call our unique advantages, mostly that we are rural and remote, outdoor rec abundant, and a road trip destination primarily. So these things really helped us through the pandemic and will continue to work in our favor this year. Those advantages will continue to help us. And so you see in the chart, domestic tourism actually isn't expected to fully bounce back until the end of 2022. But for La Plata County, I would not be surprised if we're back to where we were before pandemic by the end of this year. Fingers crossed, knock on wood. We'll see how that goes, but I think we'll have a much quicker recovery than your average destination. So this is the part I could talk your ear off about: sustainable tourism and destination management. Huge topics, just gonna try and give you some real high-level highlights today. Another myth I would like to bust: Visit Durango's increased funding will bring over tourism. Understandable why people may think this, but definitely not the case, and I will explain why. So in April city election, ballot measure 1A passed, which as of this month, June, increases the city's lodgers tax to 5.25%. In the ballot language, it says that 55% of those collections will go towards sustainable tourism marketing. And we are the first city in the state actually to put sustainable tourism in our ballot language. So it is groundbreaking, and I think it's definitely something that our community should be proud of. We are leading the way. People ask me, well, what does that mean for Visit Durango's budget? So between those changes and then some county lodgers tax changes as well, if you look at our budget from 2019 to 2022, we're expecting to go from about 1.3 million to 2.3 million. So really exciting for us and exciting for the tourism community. What exactly is sustainable tourism? Well, this is the definition that we work off of. Tourism that takes full account of current and future economic, social, and environmental impacts, while simultaneously addressing the needs of all stakeholders, including visitors, the tourism industry, the environment, and host communities. Some more myths to bust. A few things that we don't want. We don't want more crowded summers. We don't want year-round crowds. We don't want a bunch of people at our off the beaten path gems that we all love. And we don't want to become a community that is only affordable to the rich travelers and residents. So don't worry, nobody wants this. And luckily, we know how to avoid it and can get ahead of it. What do we want? We want to attract visitors that give back to our community in a meaningful way and share similar values to our residents. So yes, economic impact is part of that, of course. That's just common sense. We need to target people who have disposable income to travel. But we also want people who are what we call drivers of dispersion. They are willing to visit lesser known attractions, come midweek or off season. We want people who are sustainably minded, and we would like visitors that contribute to diversity, those that are welcoming, enlightened, and diverse travelers. And luckily, the travelers want the same thing. Research shows that about 2/3 of travelers are willing to spend more while traveling if they know it's going towards sustainable tourism. An important thing to remember, what is the ultimate goal of tourism? Destination marketing brings economic impact, and that money is really meant to better quality of life for the community. So that is a philosophy that Visit Durango lives by. Everything we do should ultimately have a positive impact on the quality of life for our Durangotans. These are 6 goals that were pulled from our current strategic plan. It's a 2021 to 2022 plan. They are support the tourism industry through COVID recovery, obviously still very important. Year-round economy, a more positive experience for our visitors, attracting responsible travelers, increased quality of life, and educating tourism stakeholders. And hot off the press, those goals that I just mentioned are still very relevant, but we actually had our full-day annual board retreat strategic planning yesterday. Mayor Baxter was there. Chime in if I miss anything. But I'm really excited because we elaborated on those goals and we identified some top priorities for the organization moving forward. So those new priorities are off-peak season marketing. That one's kind of a no-brainer. Number 2, programmatic marketing and events and product development. Examples of that could be a restaurant week, an art month, things like that. Number 3, alignment between Visit Durango and our funders, the City of Durango and La Plata County. Number 4, further partnerships with local and national organizations and campaigns. Number 5 is a cool one, a tourism economic impact and quality of life study. Number 6, enhanced resident communication program. And number 7, expansion of international sales programs. So these, with our increase in funding and our new direction towards sustainable tourism marketing, these will be guiding us for the years to come. And I doubt I left any time for questions, but if you want to reach out to me, it's just Rachel, RACHEL @durango.org. I do see a question. Should we save that to the end?
They're good. Oh.
Someone is raising their
hand. I'm sorry.
Rachel, what was your tax amount before you raised it?
It was, for the City of Durango, it was 2%. And that was created in 1980. So we were a little overdue for an increase. So now it's 5.25. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rachel. We will move to Durango 9R with Samantha Gallagher, CFO.
this is on
Okay, so then space bar work.
space bar. Perfect. All right. So I'm Samantha Gallagher. I'm the CFO of Durango School District 9R. I'm really excited to be here today. We have a really exciting opportunity that we've developed through this bond. We're going to spend over $63 million on direct construction and construction-related costs over the next 4 years. Our program management company, Jacobs, and 9R, we've agreed to work with some partners to bring opportunities as much as possible for our local vendors to participate within our projects. In normal bonds, you don't see school districts reaching out that much to the community to try to get that local vendor participation. And we're taking some really drastic steps and pretty exciting steps to do that. So we've created this entity called Bond to Business with our partners, who is the 9R School District, Jacobs, our bond program management company, the Economic Alliance, our Small Business Development Center, Region 9, First Southwest Bank, and then the First Southwest Community Fund. So as part of our promise to the community, we wanted to make sure that the engagement and support of our local businesses was really a top priority throughout this bond. Our local taxpayers are paying for this bond, so we want to keep as much of the money in our community as possible. So to that end, we've created this bond to business. And what we're going to do is we're including education. We're utilizing BidNet, which is a governmental bidding resource website that vendors can use to get access to our RFPs, communication, as well as working capital financing, and a lot of training for vendors all the way from subcontractors through general contractors and architects. Our intention and our goal is to be resourceful and adaptable for all contractor levels and to simplify the process for participation. We really anticipate that this should allow a lot of people access to government contracts that they would not normally have, and potentially provide gateways to then they can start working for CDOT, and they can work for the county and the state, and there's a lot of opportunities there. And it's a really stable source of income for some of these contractors. We've included our radius to 75 miles, so that encompasses not only the Durango School District 9R, but some surrounding communities as well, to make sure that those vendors are also counted in our local vendor participation. So we also have a construction capital fund partnership within this program, including Region 9, the First Southwest Bank, and the First Southwest Community Fund that we're really excited about. And I know we have some people here today. We want to ask if they want to talk about this construction capital fund, because this is not my area of expertise at all.
Great. Hi, everyone. Thank you. Yeah, we're super excited to partner on this project. So First Southwest Bank, First Southwest Community Fund, and Region 9 are partnering to do our first collaborative fund, which is a really fun experiment for us. And really the goal is to try and make it easier for the contractors. So rather than providing them with a list of, lots of different funds they could apply for, we're collectively coming together to do the construction capital fund. So we're still determining exactly what the parameters will be, but there will be a one-stop shop, an inquiry form, basically, that any construction company, large or small, can enter their details, say what they need the money for. Maybe it's working capital, maybe they need to purchase more equipment in order to be able to, do the contract that they need. A lot of these firms are really going to need that injection of cash to be able to take on this work. So there'll be a one-stop shop, and then on the back end, Brian and Laura and I and Sherry of First Southwest Bank will review those inquiry forms that come in and figure out which of our programs is the best fit. Between us, we have probably 10 plus programs that we can pull from in terms of funding. But again, that can be complicated to navigate through for an individual business. So we'll do that on the back end from what the information they give us, and then make sure they get the best deal or the best interest rate, the best repayment terms that will enable them to fulfill their goals. So did I miss anything, Laura or Brian? Okay. Yeah.
Thank you. So again, this is really trying to target
contractors all the way from, potentially a small tile installer or something like that, through the largest contractors that we typically would enter into agreements with. So we'll have our architect and engineering RFPs out. We will be collecting those. Our general contractor RFP is going out targeting end of July, beginning of August. And then once we have those kind of determined in that pool, we're going to start holding networking events for the subcontractors and really doing lots of reach out to these people so that we can keep as much money in our community as possible. So if you know any contractors, please let them know they can sign up as being interested in being a part of this process, either through the 9R webpage. So you go to 9R, there's a bond button, and then on the menu to the right at the very bottom, it says doing business with 9R bond program, or through the Economic Alliance webpage. At the very bottom, there is a link to the form as well. And if you'd like more information, you can contact Emily. She's a really great resource to start with, because then there may be different people we need to go to, but obviously feel free to email me as well. And we're really excited. This is pretty breaking ground for capital bond programs within school districts. And we're hoping this can be a model for a lot of different communities and partnerships in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Samantha. This is a really exciting initiative, for us to be able to try and bridge the gap, and get some of these businesses that maybe aren't necessarily comfortable with bonding, to help usher them through that process to try and keep the money local. So this is fantastic. Thanks for Southwest Bank, Region 9, and us. Way to go, us. We'll move into municipality updates. We've got Mike Segrest with the county. I think Matt Salka wasn't able to make it. Mike?
Okay, thanks. Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, great. So anyway, thanks for the opportunity. Matt was disappointed he couldn't be here this morning, but had another obligation with the county in his role as county commissioner. He did want to, remind everybody that the commissioners are working on and still in the fairly early stages with the American Rescue Act funding. Still kind of, getting a better understanding of what the limitations and opportunities are for how we can use that money. They haven't made any decisions at this point in time. The good news is we have actually till 2014 and beyond to spend the money. So we want to be really thoughtful about that. I know they would welcome any ideas and thoughts that folks have, and I invite you to, go on the websites and look at the constraints and limitations. They're certainly not as broad as we would like to have them in terms of the kinds of expenditures we can make with those funds, but there are going to be a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of money, over $10 million. So, and also the Regional Housing Alliance is very active right now. On the 28th and 29th, they have a retreat to talk about their future goals and objectives and the revitalization, hopefully, of the RHA, especially to address the issue of workforce housing. But looking forward to the outcome of that, and that will probably provide a lot of guidance to the relationship, not only with the county but also with the other municipalities, since they're all parties to the RHA. So that's going to be, I think, a really good discussion. There's also, from the housing standpoint, the Southwest COG has, in conjunction with Homes Fund, with Housing Solutions, has commissioned a study to look at housing needs. So we're hoping to get some new updated data. I don't think there'll be any big surprises there, but hopefully it's substantiating kind of what we already know are the needs and helping to provide some direction for the future in terms of addressing housing needs. Reminder to everybody, we're going into fire season, unfortunately. So we'll probably be looking at fire restrictions as we get down the road. But just keep in mind, even before then, hopefully everybody's really thoughtful if you're going camping and out in the woods, to really be aware of the fact that we have a pretty dry situation right now. The new commissioners have been touring the county, going to all the back roads with our public works and roads guys and seeing what's out there. I've done that myself. It's really interesting. If you've never driven all the back roads of the county, it's pretty amazing. So they're certainly still in their orientation stage. We have still a lot of work sessions that we're working with them on to get them up to speed, and hopefully get them, fully prepared to make the hard decisions. Budget will be here before we know it. We're already, thinking about that. So it seems like we just finished one before we have to start the next, and so that's going to be it's going to be challenging for them, but but I think we have some real opportunities to do some creative and new and innovative things over the next few years. So Matt just wanted to remind everybody they're welcome to, he's happy to have them call him at any time. You don't have to wait until he has his office hours. And looks forward to hearing from you and getting more and more engaged with the county and with all of you. So appreciate the opportunity to be here today, and look forward to, a successful year and a successful future.
Super. Thanks so much for the update, Mike. We'll move to Mayor Baxter with City of Durango.
Thank you, Jameson. Hello, this is really my first time presenting. Just became mayor in April, and I've been the one under investor meeting, and I really enjoyed it, but this one is exciting. I think we had 4 people sitting over here last time, so I'm really, really excited about all the people participating. From the city's perspective, American Rescue Plan money, we're looking at receiving $4.7 million for that. And staff has made 2 recommendations so far, which council hasn't made any decisions on yet, but approximately $1.5 million to go to the La Posta water line expansion. So going down La Posta, which of course is, we're looking workforce housing and some economic development there. An additional approximately $300,000 for an in-house in the city housing program development and staffing. Whether that means a consultant or an employee, we're beginning that process right now to try to figure out what we can do as a city to create the right kind of programs, the right kind of staffing units to totally help support creation of workforce housing and help organize the community to participate in that. Councilor Buell and I were over at Agile Industries out by the airport the other day, and most of you probably know that they're basically a rocket science group working with NASA, testing rockets, small, little itty bitty engines that move rockets around and things. And one of their biggest concerns is a lack of housing for their people. And if rocket scientists can't find housing, we've got some real problems, right? So this just reinforces every time I talk to anybody, Fort Woods College and their staffing, everybody. We're looking at Minar, another perfect example. We need staffing. We can't bring employees here to help grow businesses, and we can't keep employees to continue that growth. So I'm really looking forward to what we can do with the American Rescue Plan money, as well as Laura mentioned, the earmarks. So the congressionally directed funds. City is applying for congressional aid to help with the purchase and conversion of hotels into affordable housing. We have some very specific plans there that we can't really talk about right now, but it's very exciting. And the other thing that they were working on with congressional funding is applying for $9 million to support reconstruction and infrastructure upgrades along Main Avenue. So I'm reading off of this because I want to make sure I get it correct. The funding would support reconfiguring Main Avenue to create more multimodal access, so think people walking and people riding their bikes, and outdoor space for businesses. So think bump outs and any other kind of thing that would give business more space to bring more people through their environments. Later this year, the city and BID will be working with the downtown businesses, property owners, and the community to identify preferred conceptual alternatives for consideration. So when that comes out, make sure you get your voices heard, and then you talk with BID and you talk with the city so that we know what our community wants and needs. The more minds thinking about it, the better choices we can make, better decisions I am attending the RHA retreat, the Regional Housing Retreat this coming week that Mike mentioned. And I'm very, very excited about that, the potential there to have programs that have more capability or different capabilities than the city and the county do to organize different groups that can create housing. So we're not all scattered like cats running all over the county or all over the region, and we're more organized and we're working together towards creating that workforce housing that I think we can do. The American Rescue Plan money and the earmarks are great one-time upfront money to jumpstart programs, but the city council and the city have to come up with ongoing funding to make this happen. So Jessica and I are on a subcommittee, and our task from our retreat that we had last week on Tuesday and Wednesday is to consider and recognize and acknowledge, pinpoint some funding sources that we can use as the city. So this would be at a policy level through council. So where do we find monies in the general fund that we can reallocate? Where can we be more creative in how we achieve our goals? So that's our big task in the next 2 months, essentially, and we'll be bringing some proposals forward to council for ongoing year upon year funding for workforce housing so that we can keep it going once we get started. We adopted the Midtown Urban Renewal Area Plan in March, which authorizes incentives for redevelopment projects that meet RA goals, such as URA goals, such as affordable housing and business growth. So one of the main emphasis of the redevelopment, what are we calling that, Alex? Durango Redevelopment Partnership?
Yep.
Yes, okay, all right. One of the main goals there is the development of workforce housing in combination with the commercial retail aspects. But it's not like one to the exclusion of the other. We want to make sure we have both. So that where we have retail and commercial, we also have people living. That's what makes it vital economic center for us. So city staff have been meeting with potential developers and local business owners about redevelopment projects and incentivization. If any of you know of anyone who's interested in this, we're talking Midtown, which is approximately 9th Street to 15th Street and the Riverside to 2nd Avenue, approximately. So if you know of anyone who has an interest in working in those areas, taking some of those empty spaces or redoing what's already there, we'd love to hear about it. And then we also have our 2021 grant program, which is the $5,000 for business property improvements that are visible from public right-of-way. So things like patios, landscaping, signage, painting, facade improvements. Again, please talk to Alex about those if you know anyone who's interested in that. And to Mike's comments about fire, the city is continuing to obtain granting as well as putting some city dollars in and having great partnerships with like Wildfire Adaptive to do fire mitigation work around the surrounds of the city in that urban wildland interface. I don't know if any of you have been out there on Powerline to look at the work that's been done up there. I rode my bike up there a couple of weeks ago. It is astonishing how good it looks. I know the residents were concerned that their privacy was going to be diminished and nothing would be left up there. It looks great. And the other thing that amazed me, it is such a large area. I had no idea. They talked about the acreage and I'm like, oh great, whatever. I get up there and it's a lot of work. There's been a lot of work done, a lot of protection for the community. So I think that's it, unless anybody has any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Baxter. Move to the town of Ignacio, Mark Garcia.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Great, thank you. I'm filling in for Trustee Sharon Craig this morning. We had a town board meeting till 10 o'clock last night. So anyhow, we're at it again this morning. It's great to see all the faces in there. Wish I could have attended in person, but anyhow, in Ignacio, we got quite a bit going on. Several of the other municipalities touched on similar subjects that we're looking at: affordable housing and broadband development. Fiber to the premises is a project that's a high priority for us. And we have started our second signalized intersection within the town of Ignacio. We're pretty excited about that. It's a joint project with CDOT and the school district at Becker and Goddard intersection. People think that there are multiple lights in Ignacio, but the 3 lights to the north are on the Southern U campus. So it's our second light. And I remember when there was no lights in Ignacio, and people remember that pretty fondly for decades and generations. But anyhow, I guess it's a sign of growth. We've been providing monthly data to the Alliance now on sales tax. Our numbers are strong. I think all municipalities are seeing the effects of the Wayfair case and the online collection of sales tax and remittance of sales tax, which helped us get through the pandemic. So those numbers, we're getting a better understanding of yearly as we start seeing those collections come in. So consequently, our numbers are stronger, and town board has been conservative in sales tax growth projections, which then helps us build our reserves and fund balances, and we've paid off all our debt. So Ignacio is doing well. We've been unable to hire entry level employees that we need for seasonal and part-time work. That was mentioned earlier. So that is a challenge for us in Ignacio. What else is happening? We have not decided anything on our $228,000 of ARPA funding that we will receive. Town board will look at that and see where we might be able to allocate it within the allowable expenditure categories that my colleagues have mentioned before. And yeah, I think we're fully staffed and excited to get back to normal, hopefully. And I'd be happy to entertain any questions. Thank you.
Super. Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.
We'll move to Mayor Tarkich.
Yeah, Ashley Tarkington, mayor of the thriving metropolis of Bayfield. Just a couple things. I mentioned in the last update, the town purchased 30 lots to address our attainable workforce housing situation. We will have our first board open work session on June 28th at 6:30 p.m. It will be open to the public, but it will not be open for public comment at this time. This is just kind of for our board to figure it out. I get fielded with a ton of questions. My phone blows up on a daily basis about this project. I will assure everybody in our community that we will address all of those concerns, and we will have plenty of open meetings to address those concerns. I feel like I'll be talking about this project and updating you for a while as this goes on. Our 4th of July celebration is a full go. It'll be bigger and badder this year. We have welcomed a couple of new businesses to town, so that's been nice. We still have so much interest in every little inch of land that is for sale in Bayfield. Had lots of meetings all last week and early this week. I think there could be some potentially really cool, great things coming to Bayfield. And tonight in our board meeting, our drought management plan public hearing will take place, as well as potential adoption. So if anybody's interested in listening in on that, 6:30 tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Tarkington. All right, great to see you all back in person. Thank you again to Fort Lewis, to Steve, to Kiki for hosting us today. This is a great space. Hopefully the Zoom and in-person worked well. If you have any feedback for us, I think over the last year of how this has worked, or how this meeting specifically has worked, feel free to grab Mike or Emily, a board member, give us that feedback. And if there's anything from a membership standpoint that we can do to help kind of the recovery of COVID, help drive businesses, don't hesitate to reach out and ask. We're here for the membership, we're here for the community. It's so great to see all of the faces. That's it. We are good. Next meeting will be July 13th. We'll see you guys in a month or so. Thanks so much.